Hear ye, the Vape King, to talk about the Atlantis.
Alright, this is your friendly neighborhood king here to tell you about the Aspire Atlantis. We're just going to run through some basic setup on this. Basically, just take it out of the package here. The package comes with a replacement glass and one replacement coil. If I can get it out of the box. Like that. So I'm just going to put the package to the side here. So, to fill this up, we're going to unscrew the bottom just like so, very carefully because you don't want to break your glass. Now this new Atlantis is very well built. It's got a thick glass, so it's not as fragile as say the. So, to get started with this, we're just going to remove the bottom, just thread it off just like so. You want to be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to break your glass. However, the Atlantis is made very sturdy, so it's got a nice thick glass, as you can see. So once you have the bottom off, you'll see your coil unit and your tank unit here. We're going to set the tank aside. You'll remove the coil from the base, like so. I'm going to set the base unit aside for now. Now whenever you take this out of the package, the first order of business is going to be to prime your coil. And basically what you want to do is you want to get that wicking material inside completely saturated with juice. Failure to do that will cause dry hits and can actually burn the coil and the wicking material and create a really nasty taste inside of your tank. So I'm going to take my bottle of juice here and I'm just going to take a little drop of a bottle and we're just going to basically put juice right into the coil unit. Don't be afraid, be generous, get the juice all up in there. And then you're going to let that soak in for a minute. And it takes a couple seconds. Once that starts to soak in, just add a little more. Don't be afraid. It's not going to hurt it to get it all soaked up with juice. What you're going to watch for is juice to started to show up on these little holes right here, and you'll see this wicking material through these holes start to get wet. That's a good sign that you got it well primed because the juice is soaked from the inside out. Now, just for good measure, what I like to do after that is throw one drop on each of these things, like so. Now, this coil being at 0.5 ohms burns very hot, so it's extremely important that these are well primed. Now, you're going to make a little mess, you're going to drop a few drops of juice. It's worth it to save a $5 coil. Then we're just going to take our coil, we're going to thread it back into the base first, and you're going to thread that down until it stops. Then you're going to take your tank right here. We're going to set our base aside. You're going to take your tank. We're going to fill that up with juice. Just like so. Set our juice aside. Then we're going to take the base piece. We're just going to thread the base piece into the tank. And you want to thread this down until you feel it make a good seal. It doesn't need to be too tight. You don't want to compromise that seal and have any leakage. But you just want to thread it down until you feel it make a nice good seal. Right about there. Then we're going to turn it upright and let it sit in the juice for a good minute or so. Now while that's happening, we're going to talk about some of the features of the Aspire Atlantis, some of the things that set this apart, make it different. So we have about a 3.5 milliliter tank, adjustable airflow and adjustable juice flow. So you'll notice if you look inside the tank here, you'll see these little tabs. So these tabs can be turned to cover those juice inlets juice inlet holes on the coil. What that does is provide a little restriction to the flow of juice into the coil. This can help with if you're using like a thinner juice, or maybe you over primed it, things like that, and you're getting a little bit of gurgling or some juice in your mouth. You can turn that there to kind of help regulate the flow of juice a little bit. Maybe you're a very heavy vapor and you take very large drags. This can help, eliminate some of the problems with excessive vacuum inside of the tank. Now, if you need more juice flow, getting dry hits or things like that, just open those up and allow the juice to sit directly in the coil. And then, of course, any median between that. You have an adjustable airflow. This is used to regulate how stiff or how loose the draw is. Now, common rule of thumb, the more air you have, the more vapor you're going to produce. And also the cooler the vapor is going to be. So if you're looking for bigger clouds of vapor, predominantly, you're probably going to want to have this either on, the mostly open or the all the way open setting, which, as you can see, is a huge gaping hole. If you like a nice tight draw, more similar to a cigarette, you're more interested in the flavor and less about the vapor, you're going to want to use the smaller holes like that. So you just turn this little ring on the outside to your desired setting, and then you're good to go. That's probably sitting in the juice long enough, probably ready to fire. We're going to take our mod, remove our dripper, because we're not going to need that anymore because we got this fancy tank that makes really big clouds. Now, I must preface that this tank is at 0.5 ohms, so it cannot be used on a device that can't handle 0.5 ohms. What that basically means is this is a low resistance below 1 ohm, so it needs to be used on a mechanical mod or a box mod that can handle that level of load. Things like your MVP, your SVD, EVIG, things of that nature are not going to be able to handle this because their lowest setting is 1.2 ohms. So we got that ready to go. I got this on my raw mechanical mod, and we're just going to fire it off. Now, one thing I like to do when I first use a tank or a new atomizer device is I like to take a few what I call cigar puffs off of it. Like when you're trying to light a cigar and you puff on it a few times. So, and the purpose of this is basically just to get that coil warmed up, get it tempered. It's never been fired before, so you want to get some heat running through that, get the juice flowing, get it producing vapor before you take a good solid hit. It's just a preventative measure. I'm not sure that actually makes a difference, but it seems to work well for me. So I think we're ready to go. Let's see what this baby can do. Now, as you can see, this tank is far superior to many of the tanks out there. It produces much more vapor. It's got a much larger coil and a much lower resistance, so you're getting more overall power out of this device. A solid buy if you're looking to produce more vapor at a lower cost and avoid the hassle of rebuilding coils and things of that nature. That's all. Enjoy your new Atlantis.